on and leave bad situations, because the framing in a relationship has for centuries, throughout the entire existence of organized societies, has been in the favor of men, right? It's been male-dominated societies. That's sort of what needs to be restored.
Don't you think you maybe want to a more experienced partner so that that person has better understanding of human intimacy?
No, because that's not what sex is intended for, right? That's, yeah, like it's enjoyable to have sex with women, but that's not the intention behind it, and that was never meant to be. This is like a very new thing in the context of history. People just have regular sex with random people for pure pleasure and then never talk to them again.
But weren't the ancient Romans on some like gay orgy vibes? And like samurais were on some gay shit?
First of all, it's not even the Romans necessarily, it was more so the army. But like, what's the relevance of that?
But you're talking about the people having sex for pleasure as a new thing and that beforehand it was not used for that purpose.
I said generally,
Generally, got you.
but yeah, in terms of relationship, just because like Roman soldiers who hadn't seen their wives and have no ability to see their wives were homosexual, that doesn't, change what I'm saying.
But it was outliers back then.
Yeah, it almost is like the same context as people in prison who are not able to have sex with their wife.
So back to what you were saying, which I think is super interesting. You're saying you feel like nowadays the relationship and human intimacy and sex has changed.
Yeah, it has changed.
And in the sense that before it was more just about procreation?
Yeah, more about intimacy, procreation, bonding with your partner, and now that really doesn't exist.
And what do you think, I guess, hypersexualized our society?
The sexual revolution, clubbing culture, just it being normalized, contraceptives, all that kind of stuff.
So relatively new stuff. Like you're talking pretty much since like the mid 1900s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think was the greater agenda at play there? You think it was just people losing their family values, or?
I don't really think that matters. The greater agenda at play, like that's just going to be a lot of like conspiratorial talk. It just doesn't matter.
I more mean like just after World War II ends, like the hippie movement starts and you have this sort of like you said, sexual revolution, people expressing themselves in new ways and kind of just like subcultures emerging. Like the divorce rate went up after that and all that stuff in the past 70 years.
Well, yeah. Yeah, and that's like people moving away from religion, like the Catholic Church doesn't allow divorce, or at least it's not supposed to. There's a variety of factors why people chose to sort of have this rebellion against traditionalism, and it happened, so it is what it is.
And you think that it was ultimately a bad thing to turn away from the church?
Yeah, I would say so.
How come?
Well, I think that there's a lot of benefit to having some sort of like structure in play in a society, but I think I am not the most well-educated theologian, so
Yeah.
I don't really so I really haven't like thought about it too much or done any research
You just mentioned the Catholic,
recreationally.
but you were around people who exercised in your life, and people
Decide, oh, it makes sense for me to dedicate
Yeah.
my time to Looksmaxxing because you calculate the ROI.
I'm just confused because it's like, on one hand, you're saying you want to like help men improve their aesthetics and succeed in life so that they don't feel so lonely and they're not so hateful and they can go out and succeed. Then you also say that like going out and dating and stuff's a waste of time and that you should prioritize Looksmaxxing and aesthetic improvement. So I'm just trying to figure out like what the real goal is for improvement, because it kind of feels like a closed circle, you know?
Well, so you're maxing, and then you're putting into play any of the things we were talking about, like low income maxing with pre-gab, for example, and going out and doing stuff like that. That just has a lower ROI if you haven't looks maxed.
But
You're gonna have a lack of success.
once you reach like maximum MOG levels, maximum aesthetic, like when you become a true 10, at that point,
Then you get to do whatever you really feel is the path for you. And I couldn't tell you that. But whatever path that you decide, you're going to have a much easier time and you're going to be a lot better off. So yeah, that is a hard thing for me to try to conceptualize and give a recommendation on, because I think I'm a lot different than the normal person in terms of like what I enjoy, activities I like to do. So from there,
has anybody reached full ascension?
ascending is kind of like an ongoing process. Like,
Is there any 10s out there, like people who have
no,
really?
no.
Will there ever be a sort of messiah?
Not with the technology we have now.
Oh. The methods would have to improve to the point where like scientific evolution would
Right.
precede that.
Yeah, more so like just surgical intervention. Who knows? So I'm really not going to predict what sort of science is going to come in the future.
How did you feel about the whole like Miami club controversy a few months ago?
The controversy I'm referring to is how many people, including myself, became aware of Clav in the first place. So, while on stream, a while ago now, Clav went to a nightclub in Miami with some other guys. While they were out, both in the Sprinter van and inside the club, somebody played Kanye's famous Hitler song. You know the one. The incident led to widespread media attention, condemnation by political leadership, a blame game amongst participants, and earned Clav a lifelong ban from all major Miami clubs.
How did I feel about it?
Yeah, the aftermath, like the
Well, I
magnitude
mean,
of
it
coverage.
sucks not being able to go to like some of the mod clubs. I mean, I just started college club maxing. In a lot of ways, that was like actually better because it's more affordable actually. So like, a lot of people like sort of like to talk about that in interviews, and it's like, dude, what's the relevance? Like, how is that even correlated with Looksmaxxing?
You talk about mainstream coverage and the magnitude of coverage that has came after some of these controversies and the things they get wrong.
Yeah, so I'd say that would be something that they get wrong, that I'm political.
So when you were with those guys, you didn't know that was going to happen?
No, I mean, no, no one really intended on that. Like, I didn't play it. It's just like kind of interesting how like that keeps getting like brought back. It really like kind of died off.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even need to talk about it. I was just wondering if you had any closing commentary on it or anything reflective you had to say about it.
I had nothing to do with it.
In general, what's your 10-year plan? Do you think that far ahead?
No, I was actually talking to one of my buddies talk about that.
Okay, just because you.
Looksmaxx. I've genuinely is no interviewer has actually like come up with a question ever that's been more than what would be the #1 piece of advice you would recommend people to Looksmaxx? I've genuinely never had a single person ask me specifics about how do these two things interact, or how does Looksmaxxing differ from this age to this age? Is it still possible to Looksmaxx? Like, there's no effort really behind the questions that you guys prepare, seemingly. It just seems to be a lot of like gotcha mode, like clip farm shit. And
Well, I'm
it's
not
like,
doing that.
yeah, you are a little bit to a degree.
I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
when you see the full presentation, it's not really going to be edited or clipped into my
Well,
face.
just because it's not the worst interview I've had. I mean, like you had like a couple of ones that you were trying to sneak in with like, oh, what is slut hate? It's like,
Yeah, I mean, it's the second letter in the.
but I
thing.
mean, like you know what you're intentionally trying to do.
Yeah, I'm trying to
it's like,
figure out because it's a pretty strongly worded forum and subculture.
yeah, and that would be fine if that question was in there because it's decently relevant to the culture, but there was not even a single genuine attempt at like a specific Looksmaxx question.
Well, I'm not in the Looksmaxxing community. I'm trying to learn about it. Not everyone talking to you is going to be a niche person who knows about all the methods.
Yeah, I know you're not in the Looksmaxxing community, but you didn't even ask a Looksmaxxing question. Like, yeah, I know you're not in the Looksmaxxing community, but you didn't even ask a Looksmaxxing question, like at all. You don't need to be in the Looksmaxxing community to ask a Looksmaxxing question.
I think we've been talking about Looksmaxxing this whole time.
We've been talking about like the philosophy behind it, and it's.
You want me to ask you a scientific question about Looksmaxxing?
I just. Like that, I mean, just like even if you don't give a shit, I mean, like it would be like at least you put a little bit of effort into.
I think I've done a pretty good interview.
From what like context? Because if it's from the context of what you guys reached out was your intention, then I would say that you've done a pretty shitty job.
All right. Well, I think people probably want to learn about you, and that was what I was trying to give you the opportunity to do.
Well, no, I know. I think that's totally fair, and that's I applaud you for that. But not one question about Looksmaxxing.
There's been so many questions about Looksmaxxing. I probably asked you about Looksmaxxing like 40 times. I just don't know the specific science. I'm not in the community.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, if you were to ask about like something in regards to hair loss, like there's really nothing.
Yeah, sure, hair loss.
You see what I mean?
You're telling me what you're trying to get me to.
You what to ask. So when you wake up every single morning and you take a look in the mirror, you're 100% satisfied with every single thing. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, dude. All right. Well, I guess that's just, if you want to be completely disingenuous. That's fine with me. I guess there's just no point to continue.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right. I would say it's kind of my mission to not only raise awareness to this, but sort of bring about a solution instead of just the typical red pill complaining. And that sort of thing that you see.
I knew this would happen. I'm struggling to understand exactly what you mean by any of that. What is your opinion of women?
I think that young men are arguably living in the worst dating market that has ever existed, with how bad hypergamy is, with a lot of the tendencies of modern women. I would say it's kind of my mission to not only raise awareness to this, but sort of bring about a solution instead of just the typical red pill complaining. Um, what is my personal opinion of women? Well, I don't really think that's even relevant to the point I just made. I would say that it's all pretty statistically backed, right? So we take a look at all the stats that are released by like the online dating apps, and how the bottom 80% of women are going for the top 20% of the profiles on there. So even that's enough to kind of justify that hypergamy is a real thing, and that there is something going on that's horribly wrong with society.
What do you think that is?
Well, it's like I just said, it's female hypergamy.
To the uninitiated, and let's be honest, probably the rather confused, among us, can you explain to me what Looksmaxxing is for you and what it does for you?
Looksmaxxing is just another form of self-improvement that is a little bit more holistic, I guess you could say, than the traditional self-improvement that was usually just, physical fitness, and, you know, athletic activities, whatever, sort of was in the mainstream in, the early 2000s, 2010s. You would typically just see on forums a lot about bodybuilding, but now it's evolved a little bit further from that, and people are taking mind the face, so that's one of the most important distinctions.
What lengths are you going to?
What lengths have I gone to? Well, I mean, I'd say I've pretty much tried it all. I haven't had plastic surgery, but just about everything else in terms of biohacking, right? So you can really do a lot for your looks with simple pharmaceutical intervention, right? So stuff like TRT, stuff like taking an aromatase inhibitor so that your growth plates stay open longer. All these sort of things, if done properly at certain parts of your life, specifically during puberty, you really can sort of overcome a lot of your genetic limits, I guess you could call it.
You promote what some would consider rather extreme methods, though.
According to Wolff's Law, it'll grow back stronger and bigger. So you're hypertrophying your bones.
I've heard you describe yourself as infertile. Is that true?
I haven't officially been tested, but I've just been kind of going based on my anecdotal experiences. But yes, that is extremely likely due to the fact that I've been suppressed for a very long time because of my exogenous hormone usage.
Then why on earth is it worth it?
Well, first of all, that's honestly like a pretty mog side effect if you think about it, due to the fact that it's extremely easy to restart your fertility with fertility drugs like HMG and HCG.
Mogging. What do you mean by that?
In that context, I just mean it's awesome. It's good.
Watching your content is like learning another language sometimes. You talk about ascending, mogging. Can you explain to me what that means?
Ascending is just getting better looking, so Looksmaxxing, and mogging. I guess there's sort of a lot of context that it could be used in. Like for example, I just said it's a mog side effect, but generally has a positive meaning behind it. So you could mog someone, and you could height mog them. You could be taller. So it typically means like outshining someone in some regard.
Are you mogging me right now?
Well, in what metric?
Any?
I mean, like I might be status mogging you maybe. I don't know. You're fine. Like potentially, money mogging. Who's to say, right? I don't know. But like, those are different types of mogs that you could achieve on someone. It doesn't only pertain to looks, right? So there's all types of mogs.
Well, your whole persona and shtick is about appearance and looks, right? So would you say your looks mogging me right now?
Um, I can't really see you, to be fair. It's kind of hard with the light. The camera's quite far away, so I'll just give it to you.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see.
All right. Well, how about this? If I was to come to you for advice, which you give out readily, would you say that I need to do something to myself to ascend or live a better life?
Well, the issue is you're just giga far away on a laptop screen, so I wouldn't be able to really say what you could do. It's very far away. Sorry about that.
I find it fascinating talking to you. I feel like you're a very different person face to face than the persona you give out online. Do you believe half the stuff you say?
Do I believe half the stuff I say? What are you saying? Inauthentic?
I'm just curious that is a lot of what you say on your videos and online about gaining attention more than necessarily it being what you truly believe?
In terms of streaming, yeah, like a lot of the activities that I do, like clubbing every day, doing certain activities like that. Is that something I would do if I wasn't a content creator? No. So that part is, I guess you could say, just for virality. I'm a pretty sheltered person. I like to spend time to myself, ideally.
Why do you think why do you think you have become so extraordinarily popular among young men?
Um, because Looksmaxxing was the key thing that was missing from the manosphere and a lot of male internet spaces. And it's kind of the answer, right? So, you could overcome a lot of disparities by becoming rich, by becoming famous, or whatever type of success. But if you're not physically attractive, then you won't be able to really have lasting relationships with women. You won't really gain a lot of respect from people around you. And you're treated differently right off the bat because of something called the halo effect, right? And that's a horrible thing to have to overcome your whole life if you're not genetically well off.
See, now, I would disagree and make the argument, Clav, that character, personality, maturity, intelligence are far more important than appearance. Do you think I'm wrong?
Well, bingo, there it is. But those are all perceived entirely differently, once again, based on your looks. So you're absolutely correct. You're just forgetting that key piece of nuance that is kind of the reason that my message resonates so well.
Do you think that sends the wrong message to vulnerable, insecure men?
I think it's a hard thing to hear at first if you're someone who is genetically not good looking. if you're telling them that the world revolves around being good looking, because now they have to overcome this seemingly impossible obstacle in their life and potentially, do all these pharmaceutical drugs, get plastic surgeries, whatever. But this is true, and we have a lot of data to back it up. So how people respond to this sort of brutal reality is up to them. But yeah, you're certainly right. It could send people into spirals, give them severe body dysmorphia, whatever. But it's just a reality pill that needs to be out there.
But see, I disagree, Clav. I don't think appearance is as important as you're suggesting.
Do you think that if you were bald, if you were fat, that you would be doing this interview, that you would be a journalist?
Yeah, I do.
Well, I would tell you that it's very unlikely that you would have the career that you do if you didn't have, the looks package. That's really what it comes down to. Like you see a lot of media personalities with full heads of hair, generally in shape, and that's what it comes down to.
See, again, I disagree. Do you not think there are bald, overweight journalists?
Of course I do, but I'm just saying you would have had to overcome that disparity by being a lot better in other metrics to have the career that you do.
The people who follow you, do you feel the weight of responsibility at all? And do you reflect on the fact that the people following you are looking for something, looking for some guidance, and you might be sending them down a really dark, sad path?
Well, yeah, I do feel responsible for the advice that I give, and that's why I didn't just go through a laundry list of different things that I take, and try to have people replicate them without all the background that they need to do things successfully. But going a little bit further into it, do I feel responsible for the mental state that people could be in by realizing the importance of looks and not being potentially good looking? Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm responsible because I'm putting the message out there and I'm the content creator, but am I supposed to feel bad if someone just gets, brutally insecure or starts having body dysmorphia? It's like, why is that responsibility on me? How people react to that messaging.
Well, people would say because you are the person sending that message out. We see people taking hammers to their face and bone smashing. We see people talking about taking drugs because they look at you, a rather attractive young man, and then want to emulate that and emulate you. So do you feel bad about that?
So do you think people are better off living in a fantasy land that is essentially just a matrix? Not to sound, like the typical, matrix talking point, but it really is like copium fantasy land stuff to tell people that their looks don't matter.
Surely, Clav, it is a happier world when people don't sit there and obsess over their looks to the point they're hitting themselves in the face with a blunt object.
Hmm. Well, I mean, why? If looks are the most important metric, why wouldn't you do anything and everything to maximize it?
Because there are probably more important things in life than looking good, don't you think?
Like what?
Like being happy, like having connections, friendships, family.
Well, like we talked about before, if you're physically unattractive, it's unlikely that you'll be able to have these romantic relationships that you're talking about. So it all comes back to looks at the end of the day. We're not disagreeing. It's just that key element that you're missing, that you can only achieve certain things if you're good looking to begin with.
But I mean, let's be honest. People who you might perceive to be unattractive have partners, relationships, and live incredibly happy lives. Doesn't that contradict what you're saying?
What? Because we could go through a couple anecdotes of a guy you know or a guy you're friends with who's fat but has a girlfriend. No, it doesn't, because this is a general rule. We're talking about society. Uh, in a bird's eye view, we're going into uh, the entire sociology of this. This is not just singular anecdote.
What's your motivation behind doing this? What do you want to achieve? Is this all for you about getting women?
No, because there's a lot more that goes into it. I think that it's really not the hardest thing in the world to get women through other metrics. So maybe you could, find some success in other areas besides taking extreme measures like bone smashing, like peptides. Maybe you could just have an extremely high status in your area, whatever. There's plenty that you could do, and also you're really not going to gain much from women. I'm talking about uh, quality of life, the way that people treat you, the halo effect. So every interaction that you go into, you're going to be better off with a good looks package. So that's sort of what I'm looking for. Success of your career, everything. That's what I'm Looksmaxxing for. So if you're taking all these extreme measures just for women, that might be a little bit silly, but there's just an entire, you know, complete picture that goes into it.
Are you giving women a little bit of a hard time here, Clav?
I don't think so. I think if I also gave my opinion on the current state of men, that would maybe make it a little bit more fair as well. I mean, can you really blame most women for not wanting to be with this generation of men who are not financially well off, who are, you know, typically not good looking because of hair, 2/3 of men by 21 having hair loss. Most men are having, severe addictions to pornography. There's so many issues with the male space as well that I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, women not wanting to date bottom percentile men is such a horrible thing and we need to make a law forcing them to. It's like, that's not my point at all. There's a problem with dating in general. So that's the clarity I would give you there.
You know, women will watch this and see what you're saying and hear what you're saying and shake their heads and go, no, you don't know what you're talking about. We're not like that at all.
Well, if they actually thought about it and weren't being performative, then they would realize I'm completely right.
Performative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
You know, you're saying I'm being so critical of women, but you know, whenever I go out to the club, they're all hanging with me, not the, uh, you know, feminist jesters who are standing in the general admittance section.
Feminist jesters. What do you mean by that?
I just mean people who are reposting like, you know, liberal media on their Instagram, trying to sort of be white knights for women and that sort of thing. And then I go out and do my streams, uh, and they're all hanging with me. So, you know, they might say things, but you watch the way they act, it's totally different.
Isn't that just a reflection of the places you're hanging out, not the kinds of people and the women you're coming across?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but that's generally just the world in general. And that's my anecdote because those are the places that I stream at. But there's examples across the board, really.
Well, let me put this to you then, okay? You mentioned feminist gesturing, or however you described it. I would say to you, Clav, that some of my most cherished friendships and influences in my life are 100% women. I'm curious to know what you think that says about me.
So most of the friends in your life are women?
I said some of the most cherished friends in my life are women.
I don't really see a problem with that at all. I mean, I have plenty of female friends.
Women would listen, though, to what you're saying and consider it misogynistic and sexist. Are you those things?
Would they really? I mean, I just also called out the state of men uh, in 2026 with you know, OnlyFans subscriptions, pornography addictions, uh, financially terrible off. So I think I'm just calling out sort of what's wrong with both sides of the aisle. So I don't really think that's misogynistic at all.
Is this what you're doing really a solution to any of it?
Is what I'm doing a solution? I think it's sort of the best option that people have nowadays because it's a lot easier to uh, sort of ascend and transform your life through looks than becoming like a media star or some sort of, millionaire to be able to start getting girls. So that's why I advocate for Looksmaxxing. Absolutely, because really anyone could do it.
Do you think you're making the world a better place?
I do.
How?
Well, I'm sort of informing people and giving them that key piece that they were looking for on why their life might not be going in the direction that they want it to.
What do you think is more important? Looking good or just being kind to the people around you?
More important and great microphone.
So again, I mean, I listen to that, and I'm not
But
trying to
there's
pick.
a-
I'm
there's
not
a
trying to
bit
pick. I'm not trying to pick a fight with you at all. But I'm
It's
curious.
just so ridiculous. Just so ridiculous.
You know, people will listen to that and go, "Oh, why on earth?"
Well, it's like we talked about before with the current dating market. Uh, being so crazy, like extraordinary measures. Aren't that insane? Doesn't really seem that way to me.
I'm wondering, what happened in your life, or what was your life growing up, Clav, to make you feel like
I would say that
one? Would you say you have a strong male or perhaps female role model in your life?
uh, I would say that Rich Piana would be one of the biggest. Content creators that I would watch growing up, and I really liked one of his sayings, "Whatever it takes." So that's usually what. I'll reference, and that's sort of what went into a lot of my mentality.
What about in your day-to-day personal life? Do you have a role model talking to you saying, "I think you should do this, I think you should do that"?
I wouldn't really say so. I'd say I pretty much do whatever I want because I have to enjoy what I'm doing for it to be good content, right?
How do you feel about aging? It happens to all of us. Do you think you're going to look good forever?